Guiding your characters through fear. I love a good arc. I use a 7-point story arc to outline my stories. And this is a similar but 6-point fear arc that can be used in any phase that you're in, as far as writing your story. At the beginning of the story or early on, you want to introduce the fear. And this doesn't need to be just flat out saying it. There's so many subtle ways to introduce it, memories, ways that your character reacts to this fear. And you want to show resistance. You want to show avoidance, resistance to this particular thing as a subtle way to show the reader that this is what they're afraid of. As you move through the story, you're going to escalate the fear. It'll become more and more prevalent, more present, and as at some point, they are gonna be forced into a choice. This is where I really like pinning the fear against a fear. So if there are 2 fears that are really prominent, they could be afraid of never living up to potential and also afraid of the unknown. Pinning one fear type against another from a different category is, in my opinion, not easier. It just feels like there's more conflict. I think you certainly can if there are 2 moral or 2 physical fears, you could certainly pin those against each other. In Sisters Arcana, I pinned the fear of Aisha losing her sister. She's afraid of losing her sister. However, she's afraid of leaving her house. She's afraid of contamination. And those fears just really created so much tension. Ultimately, she had to make a choice. Your character has to make a big choice, whether you are pinning the fears against each other or simply they have encountered this fear. It's escalated to the point where they can't avoid it any longer. They're going to make a choice. Do they give in to their fear and respond to it by fleeing, by fighting, by fawning, or do they face their fear? To finish the arc, they'll reveal the consequence, what choice did they make, what is going to occur, and then ultimately they will make a transformation. If they respond to it in the way that they have always responded, maybe there won't be as great of a transformation. Something will definitely change. However, if they do end up facing their fear, and that doesn't necessarily mean they need to face it head on, but if they take a step toward their fear, there's going to be a significant transformation for your character and hopefully for your reader as well. Our characters ultimately grow. And again, there's so many ways to show a transformation and to, I don't want to say force them into growth because our characters have agency, but by identifying the fears and then, yeah, forcing them into this choice, it's a really powerful way to create conflict, to create tension, urgency, and really just grab at your reader and make your character so real because we all have fears. We are all forced to make choices in our lives, forced to choose between fears. So, I do have a couple of questions that we can ask ourselves too as you move through this character fear arc. Escalating the fear, we're making it unavoidable and ultimately raising the stakes. And then the choice, yeah, will they face it? Will they flee it? The consequences are where that internal growth will definitely occur. And then at the end, did your character grow? Not every arc ends in success or triumph, but all characters do change.